Across the valley to the east of Yharnam lies the town of the Healing Church, known as the Cathedral Ward. And deep within Cathedral Ward is the old Grand Cathedral, the birthplace of the Healing Church's special blood, or so they say.
Oh, yes. Pale blood. Well, you've come to the right place. Yharnam is the home of blood ministration. You need only unravel its mystery. But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of Yharnam blood of your own. But first, you'll need a contract. Good. All signed and sealed. Now, let's begin the transfusion. Oh, don't you worry. Whatever happens, you may think it all a mere bad dream.
You found yourself a hunter.
Hey everyone, welcome to this playthrough of Bloodborne. I have been wanting to do a playthrough like this for a while, kind of where I go through and do a part walkthrough, part lore discussion, part playthrough. So this is it. We're going to be going in depth on some lore, and we'll start off by reading some of the items that we have in our inventory. So here is the Hunter's Mark, dangling upside-down rune etched in one's mind, symbol of a hunter. By focusing one's thoughts on this rune, a hunter loses all blood echoes, but awakens afresh, as if it were all just a bad dream. So this item is basically we can use it to teleport back to the hunter's dream. The Black Hood, hood worn upon awaking to the nightmare of blood and beast. Perhaps its wearer had to stay out of sight and travel by cover of darkness. Without memory, who will ever know? Clothing worn upon awaking from the nightmare of blood and beast. Not typical clothing for Yharnam. Perhaps it is of foreign origins. It is said, after all, the traveler came to Yharnam from afar. These are sullied bandage, terribly worn and unsanitary. A faint memory recalls blood ministration involving the transfusion of unknown blood, not long after the nightmare began. So, from the items that we're wearing when we start the game, and then the foreign trousers stay the same as the shirt. Basically, we're not from Yharnam. We're an outsider. And this note just says, seek the pale blood to transcend the hunt. And that's kind of the overarching goal of this game, is figuring out what the pale blood is. And it's still actually up for debate about what it could be, but we'll get some ideas as we continue throughout the game. So we'll head down here and encounter our first enemy of the game, and it's a nasty werewolf. So you can actually beat this guy. You're supposed to die to him, but if you know what you're doing and get lucky, you can defeat him here, even though you don't have any weapons. So we'll see if we can do that. You try to sneak up on him, but he'll catch you every time. So the goal here is to try to get behind him and hit him with a charge attack, which will stagger him and let you do a visceral attack, which does a lot of damage. See if we can land it. Oh, got it. Get him up the butt. So yeah, you want to get behind enemies, and if you can hit them with a charged R2 attack, basically you hold down the R2 button and charge it fully. If you land that attack, it'll stagger them, and then you can do a critical visceral attack from behind. If you don't hit that attack, you can still beat them. It just takes forever to whittle them down because you're doing like 2 damage at a time with your hands. So that was good. I think that might be the first time I actually pulled it off, but if you die to him, you get transported back to the Hunter's Dream, which we will go there shortly by a lamp. So this is Central Yharnam, and this is the opening area of the game, and just wanted to stop here and show you this this skyline that they have set up for us. It actually sets up a lot of the places that you're going to be visiting throughout the game. So we're going to go up and we're going to go down, so kind of get a look of all of it here. So these blood vials I'm picking up are going to be our main, well, really our only source of healing throughout the game. So the healing system is interesting. The old Dark Souls game, and we're going to have to maneuver around this guy because I don't feel like fighting him, but the old Dark Souls games had Estus flasks that would recharge every time you rested at a bonfire. The healing items in Bloodborne are these blood vials, and they are finite. So you actually, there are situations where you have to farm for them, so that's really the only bummer. And that screaming you just heard from that direction there is the Cleric Beast, which is the first boss that we're going to fight. We'll light our first lamp. That's how we're going to get back to the Hunter's Dream. But before we do that, we're going to talk to the first NPC of the game, Gilbert.
Oh, you must be a hunter. And not one from around here either. I'm Gilbert, a fellow outsider. You must have had a fine time of it. Yharnam has a special way of treating guests. Well, I don't think I could stand if I wanted to, but I'm willing to help if there's anything that can be done. This town is cursed. Whatever your reasons might be, you should plan a swift exit. Whatever can be gained from this place, it will do more harm than good. Pale blood, you say? Never heard of it. But if it's blood you're interested in, you should try the Healing Church. The church controls all knowledge on blood ministration and all varieties of blood. Across the valley to the east of Yharnam lies the town of the Healing Church, known as the Cathedral Ward. And deep within Cathedral Ward is the old Grand Cathedral, the birthplace of the Healing Church's special blood, or so they say. Yharnamites don't share much with outsiders. Normally they wouldn't let you near the place, but the hunt is on tonight. This might be your chance. Across the valley to the east, deep with I have fancy.
Okay, so Gilbert's doesn't sound like he's doing too well. But basically, he's telling us, you want to find pale blood? Well, I don't know what that is. You should try to get to the Healing Church, which is in the Cathedral Ward. So that's going to be our goal. We're going to first go to the Hunter's Dream and get our weapons. The Hunter's Dream is going to serve as the main hub of the game. Think Firelink's Shrine, think Majula from the Dark Souls series. This is where we will level up, improve our weapons. You'll actually level up with this doll, but she's inactive right now, and that will change soon. So let's pick our weapons. So there are 3 starting weapons to choose from. You have the Saw Cleaver, the Hunter Axe, and the Threaded Cane. And each kind of are the beginnings of a certain build that you can choose. So let's take a look at... We'll start with the Saw Cleaver. One of the trick weapons of the workshop commonly used in hunting business. This saw, effective at drawing the blood of beast, transforms into a long cleaver that makes use of centrifugal force. The saw, with its set of bloodletting teeth, has become a symbol of the hunt and only grows in effectiveness the more grotesquely transformed the beast. So all these weapons have 2 forms, and I'll show you how that works here in a second. The Hunter Axe, one of the trick weapons of the workshop, commonly used on the hunt, retains the qualities of an axe but offers a wider palette of attacks by transforming, boasts a heavy blunt attack leading to high rally potential, and we'll talk about rallies soon. No matter their past, beasts are no more than beasts. Some choose the axe to play the part of executioner. The Threaded Cane, one of the trick weapons of the workshop, commonly used by hunters on their duties, sufficiently deadly as a rigid bladed cane, but also serves as a whip when its blade is split into many. Concealing the weapon inside the cane and flogging the beast with the whip is partly an act of ceremony, an attempt to demonstrate to oneself that the bloodlust of the hunt will never encroach upon the soul. We're going to use the Hunter Axe because I love its second form, and it makes dealing with groups of enemies really easy. Now we'll pick our second weapon. The Hunter Pistol, pistol made at the workshop for hunters stalking beast. Hunter firearms are specially crafted to employ quicksilver bullets fused with the wielder's own blood, boosting damage against beast. The pistol is a quicker draw than the blunderbuss, allowing for speedier responses to attacks. So this is how you'll parry, essentially. The blunderbuss, a blunderbuss created at the workshop for the hunter's line of work. The impact of this highly effective weapon counters beast's swift movements, and its widespread is nigh on guaranteed to hit the mark. So we're going to go with the Hunter Pistol. The pistol, you need to be locked on to hit an enemy, essentially. The blunderbuss, you can just spray and pray and get lucky, but I like the pistol, so we'll stick with that. And this is our notebook. This is how we'll leave messages for other players. I don't utilize this very often, but some people do. Let's put our equipment on real quick. We'll look at the notes for the notebook here. Messengers are inhabitants of the dream who revere the brave hunters. Use them to send messages to other worlds. So those messengers were the things that were crawling all over us at the beginning of the video that we saw. They are actually friendly. Who would have thought? So we'll equip this just in case we want to use it, and we'll also put the hunter's mark on our quick bar. Now this guy is Gehrman, but we're going to talk to him in a second. I want to read some item descriptions at the vendors here. This is a vendor, also known as a bath messenger. Let's look at the blood vials. Special blood used in ministration restores HP. Once a patient has had their blood ministered, a unique but common treatment in Yharnam, successive infusions recall the first, and are all the more invigorating for it. No surprise that most Yharnamites are heavy users of blood. Blood's very important in this game, obviously. A game called Bloodborne. We'll go more into blood later. Quicksilver bullets. Special bullets used with hunter firearms. Ordinary bullets have no effect on beasts, and so quicksilver bullets, fused with the wielder's own blood, must be employed. The strength of quicksilver bullets depends greatly upon the wielder's blood tinge. And blood tinge is a stat that you can improve. Molotov cocktails. Explodes in raging flames when thrown against an object. One of the oldest hunter tools available in the workshop. Since the tragedy that struck old Yharnam, fire has become a staple in beast hunts, and is thought to cleanse impurity. Certain types of beast have an abnormal fear of flame. Can you have an abnormal fear of flame? I guess maybe. And these are pebbles that you can throw at enemies. That's how you can draw aggro in a group of enemies. They're useful. Let's look at the Yharnam hunter cap. Ludwig, the first hunter of the Healing Church, once recruited Yharnamites to serve as hunters. This hunter's attire was made for new recruits and has an excellent straightforward defense, but not nearly enough to allow an ordinary man to stand any real chance against the beast. So Ludwig is the first name that we get for many of these items. He was the first hunter of the Healing Church, which we will learn a lot about the Healing Church in the next many hours that we're playing this game. They're kind of the main players in this world. Let's go talk to Gehrman.
Aha! You must be the new hunter. Welcome to the hunter's dream. This will be your home for now. I am Gehrman, friend to you hunters. You're sure to be in a fine haze about now, but don't think too hard about all of this. Just go out and kill a few beasts. It's for your own good. You know, it's just what hunters do. You'll get used to it. This was once a safe haven for hunters. A workshop where hunters used blood to enhance their weapons and flesh. We don't have as many tools as we once did, but you're welcome to use whatever you find. Even the dog, should it please you.
So, putting aside
This was one
the really creepy line at the end there about using the doll, I think it's fascinating the way that Gehrman struggles to remember his own name when he's introducing himself, and that's going to play in later to some of what's going on here. We're going to read this note here. This note looks like it's just left by a player, but it's actually a developer note, and so we're going to read it, and it kind of gives us some information about what's going on. To escape this dreadful hunter's dream, halt the source of the spreading scourge of beast, lest the night carry on forever. So not much there, but you know, once you finish the game and you're looking back on this note, it tells you a lot, and we'll talk about that as we go on. But so Gammon's in charge of this hunter's dream, and he kind of gives us some information about what a hunter is. So a hunter is it's a branch of the Healing Church, which we heard Gilbert talking about, and a hunter's job is solely to go out and hunt beasts. So there's a scourge of beasts that is plaguing the city of Yharnam, and it is our job to hunt them. And Gammon says as much. Don't ask questions, just do what you're meant to do and go hunt beasts. That's your job. Stay in your place. Obviously, that would be pretty frustrating if you wake up and you don't remember who you are in this strange town, and you're teleported to this interdimensional land, and the person's just telling you to don't ask questions, just go kill some monsters. So that'd be frustrating if you were in this situation, but we'll find out more as we go on. Right now, we're going to go back to the clinic here and talk to Yosefka.
Are you out on the hunt? Then I'm very sorry, but I cannot open this door. I am Yosefka. The patients here in my clinic must not be exposed to infection. I know that you hunt for us, for our town, but I'm sorry. Please. This is all that I can do. Now, go. And good hunting. Are you still in need of something? But I have nothing more to offer. Please, try to understand my position. I can only pray for a fruitful hunt.
Yosefka is the doctor at this clinic that we woke up in at the start, and so whenever we go back and try to get into that sick room that we were in, she has the door locked and is basically saying that she doesn't want to open the door because she has patients to take care of, and obviously there's a scourge of beasts out on the streets, so that's pretty understandable that she wouldn't want to open the door. But she did give us a blood vial, which is something unique to her. It's basically a super blood vial. It heals you really well. I think it helps your stamina regeneration as well. And that's a demonstration of what the trick weapon of the axe does. The charged R2 does 2 giant swings that have excellent range. And that's why I love the Hunter's Axe. So we just picked up some Molotov cocktails, which we already read the description of those, but we're going to equip them. And we forgot to read the description on the blood vial, so let's do that. Blood vial acquired from Yosefka's clinic. This refined blood, highly invigorating, restores a larger amount of HP. The product of a slow and careful refinement process, this rare blood vial appears to be a clinic original. So it doesn't help your stamina. I was wrong about that. It just heals you for more than a normal blood vial. So the way Yosefka works, you only get one of the blood vials at a time, but whenever you use it, you can go back to her and get more, or get another one up to a certain point when she stops giving them to you. Which we'll talk about that when it comes, but her story arc takes a turn down the road. But right now, she's very helpful. Alright, so let's get into this first area proper. Pick up some pebbles. There's going to be a guy behind these boxes. You just kind of got to stand there, and then he'll come out of his attack. Really, the key to this area is just keeping your distance and baiting the enemies into an attack. Because there are a lot of them in the area. You just want to make sure you don't get overwhelmed, so don't go diving in and swinging. Just bait them into attacks and take them out one at a time. But the axe is very helpful in this situation, because once you figure out the range, you can do some damage before they even get close enough to hit you. So, yeah, there's a bunch of guys that are coming down the alley there, and you just want to bait them up the stairs, kind of funnel them in. Shield guys, one hit will break their shield, essentially, and then you can take them out. There's a giant executioner back here. We're going to open up a shortcut here. It's kind of a pointless shortcut, but it's a little bit faster to run through if you have to. This takes you back to that ladder at the clinic. There's a giant executioner back here. He's very intimidating, and he'll kill you if you don't know what you're doing. But the key is to use your gun to parry him. And I'll show you right here. Just gotta bait and attack. So I hit him with the gun in the middle of an attack, and I'm going to finish him off with a charged R2. Their windups are slow. He has one attack that he'll jump across the map and like hit you real quick that you got to watch out for, but other than that, his attacks are very slow, and you can parry them pretty easily. You just got to get the timing right, and it might take a few tries to get used to the timing, but once you figure it out, they're not too much trouble. But that is a tough enemy for a beginning area. You don't really get much from killing him other than some blood vials. He'll drop some upgrade material every now and then. More cocktails, and we're going to knock on this door and see what they have to say.
Are you that outsider? Well, sorry, but I don't want anything to do with you. Trot along, will ya?
So those, there's going to be doors that we come across with incense burning outside of them, and you'll get some dialogue behind them, but not all of them are NPCs. Some of them are just going to tell you to get the heck out of there because they don't want anything to do with you, because you're an outsider, and Yharnamites do not trust outsiders. And again, we're just baiting them to run at us, and I'm hitting them with that charged R2 attack. Watch out for that guy. He'll shoot you if you don't get him. The guys with the guns drop quicksilver bullets pretty much every time, so that's handy.
Lads, you've come on. You'd open the door on a night of the hunt. Away with you. Now.
So yeah, most of these doors aren't going to lead to anything, but some of them do have NPCs, so it doesn't hurt to knock on them. And you get some flavor dialogue, which is good. So that's what we're going to be dealing with, that courtyard of people staring at a giant werewolf burning on a cross. It's a beautiful set piece. Beautifully terrifying. This guy's going to be around the corner. Just bait his attack. And this is our first Bloodstone Shard. This is the upgrade material. This is how you're going to improve your weapons. Watch out for this guy. He comes from behind that staircase and almost gets me every time. Yep. He has one extra attack that is easy to forget about. So the trick to dealing with this area, you don't want to just run in there down the middle. You want to come up on this balcony here. Once you hit it right here, they're going to start dispersing and going their separate ways. There's going to be two guys that come to the stair here. You want to bait them up. Take them out one at a time. That guy ran right by me. Again, just bait and attack. Hit him during the recovery. So that is, if you'll notice there, he tagged me. And I lost some health. But there's a system called a rally. I think it's called the rally. But basically, after you get hit, you have a small window to recover that health by damaging enemies. And the trick is, you saw how he tagged me at the same time that I hit him and he died. You can swing at their dead body for a few seconds, and you'll still recover health. So that is actually, that's helpful to know. You can swing at somebody that you just killed for like a second and get some health. So we're going to, now we took out some of those guys that were walking away. We're going to go all the way down here, pick up this item, and get this enemy by the gate. I'm going to show the charged R2 attack here sneak up. If you walk, you can sneak up on enemies, most enemies without aggroing them. But we're going to get behind them, charge the R2, and then do another R1 attack while they're staggered, and it does a visceral attack. It's an important tactic to keep in mind. Does a lot of damage. There's something behind that door, but it can't get out yet, luckily. We'll see what that is in a moment. Dogs, like in any video game, are annoying, but again, you just kind of let them bait the attack. If they hit you, it doesn't do too much damage, so you can usually gain it back pretty quickly. Whiffed. When in doubt, roll it out. Just roll around. Get to a safe place. So you just have to be strategic here. Just plan it out. You know, you can pick off most of these groups, if not one at a time, two at a time. And two enemies are still pretty manageable, especially with that overpowered charge R2 attack. So I don't know if I mentioned, but to change the form of the weapon, you hit L1, and it'll go between the two forms. There's actually special attacks that you can do. If you hit L1 in the middle of an attack, it'll do a special attack while it's transforming. So there's some interesting movesets to be thought about whenever you're picking what weapon you want to use. Watch out for that guy with the gun. Guns seem to do a lot more damage than just like regular hits from an enemy for some reason. But they're pretty easy to avoid. As soon as you see him lift the gun, like right here, just roll, and you'll be able to dodge him. One more enemy in this area, and then we can move on. So that is a Cold Blood Dew. Droplet of cold blood containing blood echoes. Used to gain blood echoes. Hunters sustained by the dream gain strength from blood echoes. They imbibe the blood with thoughts of reverence, indeed gratitude, for their victims. And this is the bloodstone shard that we picked up. A solid shard that forms in cold blood. After death, a substance in the blood hardens, and that which does not crystallize is called a bloodstone. At the workshop, these bloodstones are embedded with weapons in order to fortify them. So we'll use bloodstone shards to upgrade our weapons, and then we can consume those blood dews. I forget what they're called now. Cold blood dew, and obtain more blood echoes, which we will use to level up our character. And in the upper right-hand corner there, you see that little Bloodborne logo. That's the amount of blood echoes we have. And the eyeball below that is our insight level. And I'll explain insight once we find the appropriate item. There's a shortcut here that I'm going to show you in just a second. That's going to make traversal of this level a little bit easier. But first, let's go knock on this door. It's really creepy how there's just people laughing behind this door.
I don't reckon you're from round here. Well, stuck outside on a night of the hunt. Oh, you poor, poor thing.
It's unsettling, that door specifically, because you just have people that appear to be gathered together and partying and laughing and having a really good time, while outside their door, the world is falling apart and people are turning to beast, and unknowable horrors are happening behind the scenes. And I think it's a real analog to situations in the real world where people just kind of shut their eyes and focus on themselves when the world around them is basically burning. It's just interesting to think about. Oil urn. When this urn hits its mark, the target is drenched in oil and made extremely flammable. Fire is commonplace on the hunt, and oil urns accentuate its effect. Sometimes when hunters burn beasts, they appear intoxicated by the euphoria of purification. Oil urn, you can throw an oil urn at an enemy, and it makes fire attacks stronger. And it talks about how the hunters will look at beasts burning and just get intoxicated by the fact that they're burning, and that's interesting. This is another enemy that you just have to wait for the wind up, and then you can parry him. When he charges at you like that, that's the easiest time to hit him with the parry. Back to that oil urn where it said that they were, they overcame with a feeling of euphoria watching the beast burn. It kind of saw a set piece for that in the last area. Torch. A common torch formed by wrapping a pine resin drenched cloth around the end of a long stick. Hunters choose torches not only because of the hunt leads them to the darkest nooks, but also because certain creatures they encounter are possessed by a deathly fear of flame. Again, fire and beast. Fire is good against beast. That's what that's saying. You can use this torch to see in dark places, and it also has an attack if you hit the shoot button of the gun, L2. But yeah, the set piece in the other area where all the enemies were crowded around a crucified werewolf that was on fire just kind of showed off that they're obsessed with burning beasts. We'll get this item from behind the gate here. Another cold blood dew. So the correct way to proceed through this level is up the right here, up these stairs. We're going to go that way in a moment, but first I want to show you this shortcut over here to the left. This is called the kennel shortcut because you'll pass by a bunch of dogs in kennels, so just keep that in mind. You can kill these dogs in one hit, just take them out. So there's supposed to be a dog come out of that kennel, and you see the door open right there, but for some reason the dog didn't spawn. So he's supposed to break out and come attack you, but we didn't get that. So we'll just take out these dogs real quick. And there's going to be a dog to the left around the corner up there. Just wait for him to come around so that we can run up on him and hit him a couple times and take care of him. So another way that we can proceed is behind us. There's a way into the aqueduct. We'll have to go there eventually, but we're going to come back to that later. See that glowing orange door over there? That's where you'll go eventually. That'll probably be in the next video. So we're going to run up here. There's a little item. It's a dead end, but there's an item here. I think it's a shard. Nope, it's another dew. Anyway, we're going to open up a shortcut so you can get back here quicker and you don't have to go through that gauntlet of villagers with pitchforks again. This house is interesting. It's a creepy dark house, and there's going to be an enemy here. And then there's an enemy in a wheelchair right there. You're going to think he's an NPC, but no, he'll shoot you. So you just want to take him out before he turns around and decides to shoot you. We'll drop a lot of quicksilver bullets, so that's good. And we got a pungent blood cocktail. Let's take a look at that. Mature blood cocktail that releases a pungent odor when thrown that attracts bloodthirsty beast. A precious tool in sadly short supply, in Yharnam, they produce more blood than alcohol, as the former is more intoxicating. So we're really starting to get an understanding of how important blood is to Yharnam. this note here. When the hunt began, the Healing Church left us, blocking the great bridge to Cathedral Ward, as Old Yharnam burned to the ground that moonlit night. So Old Yharnam is a place that we're going to go to later. Central Yharnam and Old Yharnam are different places. So we get a prelude to the fact that Old Yharnam was basically abandoned by the Healing Church. So the Healing Church is responsible for the blood ministration that Yharnam was receiving. They found a powerful form of blood that basically healed all diseases, and they were administering it to the populace of Yharnam. Which, obviously, if you have a cure for diseases, a town's going to buy into that. Can you imagine, like, if a church came out and said that they had a cure for cancer, and they started handing it out to the city? Like, that church would be super powerful. And they kept handing this out. The people of Yharnam grew to trust the church and put all their belief in them and gave them more and more power. And we'll find out later that the church did not have the best of intentions. Or it's not even the bad intentions. They were just short-sighted in what they were doing. Again, our goal is to find the Healing Church and figure out what pale blood is. Because, like I said, the church is in charge of all the blood ministration going on. So we're going to go up these stairs I mentioned earlier and continue on the path proper. Take out that dog. There's going to be a group of guys coming down the stairs there. So we're just going to bait them in one at a time and take them out. Don't do anything too fancy. Like me, right here. Just whiffed. Got hit with a torch. Trying to get fancy. Pick up these quicksilver bullets, and then we're going to get a nice dose of blood vials here. I think we get 6 from this guy. And we're going to head up to the bridge leading to the Cathedral Ward. So whenever we get up here, we're going to see the first obstacle here. We've got 2 werewolves just chilling. We got to get to the other side of the bridge there. We will deal with them in a second. Gonna pick up a shard here. The best way to deal with these werewolves is to throw a pungent blood cocktail to distract them, and then just hit them with Molotov cocktails, because they are beasts, so they're weak to fire. Throw this blood cocktail. I make the worst throw in the world right here. Not far enough. You're supposed to throw it a little bit farther and distract them there, and then you can hit them with the Molotov cocktail. And I just whipped with the first cocktail. That's great. This is not the smoothest way to tackle this, but we're going to draw them down here and funnel them through these stairs and hit them with some cocktails and whittle their health down. There we go. Ah! There we go. Now we're down to 1. So 1 is manageable, 2 not so much. If you don't have any cocktails, the best way to fight these guys is to bait the attack and roll through. And you will have time to charge up an attack during their recovery if you roll through the attack. They'll kind of rear back before they attack, so you know when to roll. Alright, so those guys are down, and we can move on. I'll usually drop some blood vials, so they're a decent source for farming whenever you need to farm. The game really just throws blood vials at you in this first area, and you think it's not going to be a problem, but it eventually will be a problem. So just keep that in mind. Up here, we can kind of see the courtyard that we were in earlier. And then there's a little secret area leading to the aqueduct that we're going to go through here. So you just drop down to these planks here. We have a new kind of beast human hybrid enemy here. Again, this is one of these guys that you can parry. As soon as they start their windup, and it's a long windup, but as soon as they start it, you can shoot them, and it will stagger them, and you can get that visceral attack in. So, as soon as you see that sword arm go up, shoot. So the parry window is giant with these guys. The ones with the torches are... We had a little jump there. I don't know what that was, but the ones with the torches are easier to kill than these guys with the spear, because the parry window is a little bit shorter on the ones with the spear, and they have more health. So keep that in mind. See, he tagged me there. They do a lot of damage. We are going to go down here. We're going to land on this beam and pick up an item, and we're also going to get our first new set of armor, the hunter armor, which is probably the best looking armor in the game. It's up there with the best looking armor. There's going to be a guy around the corner here. Just employ the same strategy. See, the parry window is shorter, and it's just harder to hit these guys. But these beasts were once human, and this is what too much blood will do to you. It'll start turning you into these beasts. So we have the hunter set. We're going to put this on immediately. One of the standard articles of hunter attire fashioned at the workshop. A fine piece of hunter attire that provides stable defense to anyone facing Yharnam's beastly threat. Recognizable by its withered feathers, this cap is fashioned after one of the old hunters. And the old hunter we will meet later. The rest of the pieces just say allows one to stalk beast unannounced by cover of night. There's a hunter named Maria that we'll meet later, who's very important to the story. You don't fight her until the DLC, so it'll be a long time before we see her, but that is who the cap is fashioned after. We've got the set on, and we're going to take a look at this set because it is just beautiful. I love the detail that went into the set, all the leather straps, the gold plating. It looks so cool. We're going to hop down here to the aqueduct because we need to go talk to the little girl NPC. There's a beam right here that is sometimes hard to hit, but if you go off at the right angle, you can land on it like that, and then you can take that drop safely. If you miss it, you won't die from the fall, but you'll lose a good chunk of your health, so keep that in mind. Gotta pick up this item in the middle of these guys that are obviously going to come to life. I'm going to head back up. We'll come back to this aqueduct later after we fight the cleric beast. There's still some items worth picking up. But we're going to unlock a shortcut and talk to another NPC. The NPC is arguably one of the saddest stories in the game. First, we need to pick up our first madman's knowledge and get some insight. Madman's knowledge. Skull of a madman, touched by the wisdom of the great ones, used to gain insight. Making contact with eldritch wisdom is a blessing, for even if it drives one mad, it also serves a grander purpose for posterity. So insight, I mentioned the little eyeball counter earlier in the upper right-hand corner. These increase that number. You can consume it, and now you see we have 1 insight up there. Insight's really interesting. It changes a lot of stuff in the game. Once you hit certain insight thresholds, I think 40 is one of them, there's a few different ones, enemies will start to look different and the world will start to look different.
Trying to fool me to open this door. Heavens, the depths of depravity.
And the higher your insight, the more damage you'll take from a status effect called Frenzy. Basically, insight makes the game harder, but it also makes the game a little bit more interesting. And I'll talk more about the different things that change based on your insight whenever we come across them. We are going to talk to the little girl at the window right here and open up this shortcut, which leads back to that fountain plaza that we were in earlier. So let's talk to this NPC. I just call her little girl at the window.
Who are you? I don't know your voice, but I know that smell. Are you a hunter? Maybe it's where you look for my mum. Daddy never came back from the hunt, and she went to find him, but now she's gone too. I'm all alone and scared. Really? Oh, thank you. My mum wears a red jeweled brooch. It's so big and beautiful. You won't miss it. Oh, I mustn't forget. If you find my mum, give her this music box. It plays one of Daddy's favourite songs. And when Daddy forgets us, we play it for him so he remembers. Mum's so silly running off without it. My mum wears a red jeweled brooch. It's so big and beautiful. Oh, and if please.
So she gave us this tiny music box. So we're going to read the description on that. A small music box received from a young Yharnam girl plays a song shared by her mother and father. Inside the lid is a small scrap of paper, perhaps an old message. 2 names can be made out, however faintly, Viola and Gascoigne. So the little girl is left all alone on the night of a hunt because her father is a hunter and went out, and he'd been losing his mind essentially, so it's kind of like a man with Alzheimer's that went out and didn't come back. So the little girl's mother decided to go and look for him, and she never came back either, so she's all alone, and we come across her. I think it's interesting that she says, I smelled you, I knew you were a hunter because I smelled you, which makes me wonder what a hunter smells like. Is it just the blood of the beasts that he's been killing, or is it a certain smell that they give off in general? But she recognizes us by our smell, and we agree to help find her mother, who's wearing a red jeweled brooch. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say that it doesn't end that well. So we're going to go back to the Hunter's Dream, and you'll notice now that this doll is active, and that's because we have at least 1 insight, and we can now level
Hello,
up.
good hunter. I am a doll, here in this dream to look after you. Honorable hunter, pursue the echoes of blood. and I will channel them into your strength. You will hunt beasts, and I will be here for you to embolden your sickly spirit.
So I'm going to go ahead and level up some real quick. Just pump some stats into my health and endurance, essentially.
Become your strength. Let me stand close. Now shut your eyes. Did you speak with Gehrman? He was a hunter long, long ago, but now serves only to advise them. He is obscure, unseen in the dreaming world. Still, he stays here, in this dream. Such is his purpose. Ah, the little ones, inhabitants of the dream. They find hunters like yourself, worship and serve them. Speak words they do not, but still, aren't they sweet? Ah, they... Farewell, good hunter. May you find your worth in the waking world.
So we get a little bit more information about Gehrman there, and she tells us that he used to be a hunter until he transcended the waking world, essentially, and is now here to guide hunters like us. So we got some online stuff here. The Beckoning Bell, great old bell discovered in the underground labyrinth. Its ring resonates across worlds, and the first hunter used it as a special signal to call hunters from other worlds to cross the gap and cooperate. A human must use insight to ring this uncanny bell, but the benefits of cross-world cooperation are many. So there's a reference to the labyrinth there, which we'll talk about down the line, but it's an ancient ruin, essentially. Hunters are linked by the resonance of bells and special encoded timbres. This inaudible burst disrupts such resonance. Fire to end cooperation and prevent further cooperation. Firing this does not disrupt the resonance of a sinister bell. So that's just a way to end any cooperative play that you're engaged in. Again, these are online tools for summoning help from other players. This is the old hunter's bell, which lets us summon NPCs to help us fight bosses. Where's that? There it is. One of the resonating bells that cross the gaps of worlds. This bell is cracked and stained with the blood of beast. A human must expend insight to ring this uncanny bell. The old hunters, who have long passed from the dream but cannot forget the feeling of the hunt, rely upon messengers to relay their thoughts. Ring the bell at their side, and they are certain to give a listen. For the night of the hunt is long and unchanging. So you can, you use this bell to summon NPCs to help you fight bosses. You'll see Gehrman is gone. He'll come and go from here, which is interesting. He's not locked here. He seems to be trapped in some way. We're going to upgrade our axe. We're going to use the Bloodstone Shard to upgrade that one and make our attacks hit up for a bit more damage, which will be helpful because we are going to fight our first boss in just a moment. I always like to look for Gehrman back here. Sometimes if you catch him back here while he's sleeping, he'll be like in this area. You'll get some rare dialogue from him. So I always take a look for him back there. So now that we have insight, we can spend insight to buy things from these messengers. This will expand as we kill bosses. Not much here yet. This small resonant bell is basically the same as the beckoning bell. Only the beckoning bell is used to summon players to your game. The resonant bell, the small resonant bell, is used to enter other players' games. So they work together. So now we should, I'm making sure there's nothing else here that we've missed. Now it's time to fight the Cleric Beast, the first boss of Bloodborne. He guards the way to the Cathedral Ward across the bridge that Gilbert told us about. So we're going to make our way. With this shortcut open, it makes it really easy to get to him. So that's why it's beneficial to open it up before you fight him. We're just going to go down here and through this dark building again and go up the stairs this time. And the stairs, this building, if you go up the stairs, it brings you out at the bridge where those werewolves were that we had to kill. And it brings you out on the other side of the werewolves so you can skip them. And you don't have to fight them again, which is nice, because it's not an easy fight. And it skipped to forward just a second again. Not sure why it's doing that, but we'll get it figured out. So yeah, there's the werewolves there. We're on the other side, so we just gotta go down this bridge. There's gonna be one more brick troll here. We're gonna bait him to come to us, so we don't have to fight him with those crows. The crows are easy to kill, but they do this jump attack where they hover in the air, and they'll hit you multiple times, so you can't recover any health after they hit you. And they can stun lock you and kill you if you're not careful, so they usually die in one hit, but you just want to be careful. So for this fight, we're going to equip an oil urn and Molotov cocktails, because again, he's a beast, so he is weak to fire, and they come in handy, and they do a lot of damage. If you can hit him with an urn and a Molotov, I think you do like 300 damage, which is a lot. Hit him with an urn, equip the cocktail, get a little space so he doesn't tag us. Hit him with another urn. Alright, so I'm out of urns, so I'm just going to use my cocktail, Molotov cocktails on him, keeping some distance. So I'm just going to do this till I run out of cocktails. Next, I'm going to target his head. So you can target his body or his head. So we're targeting his head, and we're just going to shoot him in the head 3 times. That's going to stagger him. We're going to hit him with a visceral attack. You can only do that once, the shooting in the head. So now we just gotta fight him straight up. The trick is just to roll through an attack and get a couple swings in, and then back out. If you keep your distance, he's not gonna hit you that often. He'll jump in the air at you every now and then, but you just gotta roll through it. So I'll just wait for that jump attack and get a couple hits in. So there, I got lucky and actually hit him in the head a few times with my axe, and that also staggered him. So right here, I thought he was going to do the slam his fist down and then jump at me. But if he holds his fist down, he's going to lift up out of the air and hit you for damage. So the trick is to wait for him to slam that fist down like that and then jump. Then you roll through. You get a couple hits in. Slam, jump, couple hits. You just gotta be patient. You don't want to stay in there longer than you can, because he'll tag you. And here I almost get caught. Got stuck on something. He almost took me out. I was able to get away. And that's the Cleric Beast. So it's not too bad. He drops a Sword Hunter badge, which these badges are... They open up new items for purchase at the shop. One of the badges crafted by the Healing Church, the silver sword, is a symbol of the Church Hunter. Ludwig was the first of many Healing Church hunters to come, many of whom were clerics. As it was, clerics transformed into the most hideous beasts. So we have another reference to a character named Ludwig, who was the first hunter. I'm gonna light this lamp. And that's pretty much all we're going to have time for today. Next episode, we are going to tackle the next boss, the second boss of the area, essentially, and pick up some of the items that we didn't get. So I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.